Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever you're listening. Welcome to Navigating Leadership number 18. We're talking self-care, balance for leaders today. And of course, we are here with the amazing leaders, Joe, Josh, Dean, Chris. Gentlemen, good to see you on the Saturday morning. Coffee's hot. How you guys feeling?
AJ, great job, my friend. Way to take the reins and make it happen for us. Hey, listen, this is always an exciting part of my week, and Chris and Josh and Joe, and getting together on a Saturday morning just to kind of recap the week a little bit and dig into a topic. How can you beat that, my friends? We got all parts of the country covered. Well, not all parts. We still don't have any West Coast, Midwest people, but we're going to bring them in eventually. But at the end of the day, this is a great time for us just to come together and talk and meet. So good morning, everybody. My name is Dean Packard, Principal Charlton Middle School. And alongside of me, I'm the co-host of Unlock the Middle's multiple platforms, Principal Chris Starcheski of Dudley Middle School. Chris, how are you? We'll kick it around for a minute and see how everybody's doing today.
Awesome. This is a great opportunity for us to get together and really address the idea of continuous improvement and betterment. But I got to say, Dean, yesterday working with you and working with 4 of our students from DMS and CMS was absolutely fantastic. We kicked off a new layer to our kind of programming and really brought in the student voice for the first time at the level that we did. And we're looking forward to continuing that down the road. Kids had some tremendous perspective on how they're faring during the pandemic and COVID learning. And they had some great ideas and thoughts about how they can best take some steps forward and address some of the strengths that they've actually seen themselves improve within this environment. It was super rewarding yesterday.
They are the consumers. We've been saying that since day one, since we got out here and on this platform. And if you really want to know how things are going, ask a kid, ask a student. They'll tell you from their lens right away if it's working or not working. And I'll tell you what, on behalf of the teachers that they are represented by, they've done a great job, and the kids are very complimentary of their navigation through this whole process. But the one thing I got from a takeaway was the fact that they can't wait to be back to normal. I mean, there are some restraints that they just can't. They're having a hard time navigating through. So, again, it was awesome, and I can't wait to see the platinum level of this when we have representatives from Texas, Florida, New Jersey, and Dudley, and Charlton, and Massachusetts, and just talking about pertinent issues in education. So, hey, let me just kick that down. Let's go down to Josh for a second. Josh, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, everybody. Ready to rock and roll and sharpen the saw this weekend.
I love it. Joe, sunny Florida, baby.
Doing good, man. The weather is getting hotter and hotter, which means we're getting normal down here in terms of the weather. But, it's been really, really positive in terms of the constant updates with the news and the more and more people who are getting opportunities to get vaccinated if they so choose. I really think organically that's helping a lot in terms of getting us into just a little bit better feeling about how things are going right now. So, as days are going on right now, I think the confidence level is gaining, which is a good thing. But we also wanted to stay strong in terms of let's get through this, because the closer you get to home, the easier the accidents can happen. So we just want to stay strong with that.
The idea of that, plodding forward and getting back to normal. And like you said, the kind of the mindset around, the vaccinations for those who are getting vaccinated, it helps take a load off the mind, a load off the heart, in terms of the fear that's associated with environments and closer distancing. The topic today is a recap of something that we talked about a few months ago, self-care and balance. This is the time of the year, as we all know. Guess what we're working on? Next year's planning, building the master schedule. We're talking about staffing. We're talking about budget. We're talking about planning for the future. And that requires a certain sense of commitment that we have to shift our mindset a little bit. And at the same time, we're all managing our current buildings, and we're managing a shifting environment within those buildings, because we're all transitioning into new learning models over the next few weeks, potentially. We are here in Massachusetts, and that takes a toll on us. And it's very important for us to maintain connectedness to ourselves and take time for ourselves so we can take care of others. So that's where we're kicking our topic today, Dean.
So that mathematical equation equals what, Chris? You're a math guy. You just put all those pieces together. What's the sum of all that? It is balance. It's self-care. It's how to regulate yourself throughout a day. And you hit it on the spot when you started talking about planning for next year, but smack dab in the middle of another complete change of scheduling in front of us. You know, for some of us, this is the 5th schedule change, and that makes things difficult sometimes because you're navigating by the minute. So let's toss that topic out there. You know, from an administrative lens, I mean, what does self-care and balance look like, and how do you incorporate it into your world and it's or within your role that you have presently right now? AJ, why don't we start off with you, my friend?
Yeah, for me, my self-care, honestly, I hate to say it like this, as a dad of 3, my self-care is my alone time. So whether I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and sit down and journal and check the news and do the things that I do in the morning, you know, that's my self-care, because then the day starts when the kids wake up at 6 o'clock. Even this morning, I was up having a cup of coffee, just being myself for a little bit. You know, I have the morning, and then I have at night. So anything after 9 o'clock is like my time. This is my time. I enjoy this. This is where I kind of clear my mind. Even though we're still inundated with ideas and we're talking about education, this is my self-care. This is it. This is beautiful to me.
Joe?
No, I think AJ hit it on the head. It's one of the things that I talk about with my crew and my team is a lot of us as principals and leaders, we really do encourage the family first motto in terms of that. But I think a lot of people miss the understanding that family first starts with you. It starts with you as a person, because if you're not in the right frame of mind, there's no way you can be, you know, a strong family person right there for your family. I can tell you right now, I know when my crew is stepping in the building and they're not at their best. I can see it all over their face, and I know. And that's why I say, if you don't take care of your family first, by the time you step in my building, you're not going to be the person you need to be for those students and for the staff and the team member that you need to be. So take care of you, get your family where they need to be and the support they need to be. It's not always going to be perfect. That way, when you do get to work, you're almost 100% ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
Josh?
For me, it's just twofold. The very first part is it's crucial that all of us that sit in our chair understand that it's a very draining chair. It doesn't matter if it's a high-tech academy with just honor roll kids. You know what? That has its own dynamics that great me. Or you have a population of kids that are brand new to the country. That, by the poverty and everything that comes within the SEL for adults, will drain you. So you need to make sure you find your avenue. I'm going on 18, 19 years as an administrator. And you always have to make sure that you find yourself in a way to where you can release that. And for me, myself personally, it's going to the gym at least 4 times per week. You have to let go of 1 hour and just hitting it hard and making sure that, and I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. So I try to be at the gym by 4-ish, 4:30 to make sure that I start off the day already hyped up, making sure that I have that energy and I bring the fire when I get there. So that to me is just making sure that you physically take care of yourself. I'm a father of a 1-year-old and I'm 50 years old. I got to make sure I have energy.
Yes, you do.
And part 2, self-care, and this is for those of you that are aspiring in the future. Self-care has to do with this, and I want you to please make sure you listen from an old man. When you apply for a school, when you want to have the chair, you pray to the Lord when you're going to school that you become an administrator. Well, make sure that you choose right, because you might be entering a low-performing school, and you better make sure you take care of yourself because you're going to put in 15, 16 hours in there. And you cannot blame the work because you chose to apply for that job. You knew that it was a low-performing school, and those kids and that faculty need you there 24/7. So it's very important that when you are applying for the current school or the future school you're going to be in, know what you're getting yourself into. Because in the end, all these gentlemen here will tell you, no one cares that you're sick. They're going to want performance and to address you. The second you walk in, it's real quick. Can I have 30 seconds? Real quick. Hey, just one real quick thing. One real quick thing. Just keep it 15 within the first 5 minutes of your day. So take care of yourself physically, because you guys know that, and look at their faces, what I'm about to say. When you work for a school, all you eat is crap. Candies here, this here, that's a donuts here, cream bagels here, whatever you eat in your part of the country here, that's what you eat. There's nothing healthy around you. So make sure that you take care of your physical body. And then when you're applying for a campus, know that you got to put in the work. one way or the other. And sometimes if you apply it at a low performing school, you got to make sure you put in the work because everyone else around you is looking at your chair for leadership.
Josh, I'm glad you said that because, when I stepped into leadership, I knew I would have to work a lot of hours. I never knew that really the clock said 24/7, and it does. And it does. And that's what leads you to be able to say, what part of the day is mine? What can I do to ensure that I am going to have a fresh tank of gas every morning when I step foot on campus? Getting up at 3:30 in the morning, I give you credit, man. I'm a night guy. I'm going to bed at midnight every night. If I tried to get up at 3:30 in the morning, I'd be useless. So I gotta do my workout at 10 o'clock at night, and then try to sleep after you get all amped up. It's kind of hard to do, so you got to kind of work through that. But again, the people that work directly for us or with us, I should say, because I don't want to say for us, with us, they need to know that they can approach you and that they can get that response as quickly as they possibly can. And that only happens if you're fresh. And at the end of the day, you look at the 100 emails plus a day and let's say the 50 to 75 sidebar conversations, and you need what I call a life coach to get you through things sometimes. So it's hard. It's hard to get that all set for yourselves, but that is the challenge embedded with what we all do. Chris?
Yeah, I'm listening to AJ, dad of three. Yep, I'm right there with you, man. And I struggle with alone time. I struggle with that quiet, isolated period, and that for me, that's who I am. I think it's really important to follow things and do things that you love outside of the job to make sure that you're feeling fulfilled. And, for me, that happens to be, I'm wearing a Disney shirt. Love my Disney. Family's huge Disney family. Things like coaching and picking up those types of responsibilities, working with the kids, working with the other members of the community. For me, that feels good. And that is a way for me to get a release, take care of myself, because I feel more connected beyond just the school. And, I'm very committed and connected at the school. However, that's where the toll can be taken. If you're always thinking about the job, you're always thinking about the response, you're always thinking about the next step, that can be all consuming. So positivity for me is not about everything's going to be okay and wearing rose-colored glasses. Positivity is knowing that we are going to be okay regardless of the outcome of whatever we're facing. And that's something that I try to model and bring into the building every single day, from morning announcements right on through the interactions in the hall. I know you're really busy. Do you have a minute? I think I've answered in my educational career as an administrator twice, no, I don't have a minute. And that was the only 2 times that the answer was actually truthful. No, I don't have a minute. Of course I don't have a minute, but come on in because that's what we do. So we make that time. But, going back to the whole self-care and balance, I think it's very important to find what's good for you. And it's not necessarily what's good for everybody else. I'm not a big, thank you. Yeah. Disney. It's also my therapy. Yeah, without a doubt. But as we sit down and we think about what our faculty and our staff needs and members of our leadership team need, we can talk about family first all the time. But they need to understand that we are there for them because they're a part of our family, and we have to start taking care of ourselves to take care of them.
So as you really peel it back further, let's take a look at this. So we've given like a little snapshot of what our days are like. So as we begin to plan, how do you strategize to plan forward to ensure you get to where you want to be? And that's hard because you want to know something. Things come at us so quickly that we react. I become a very good reactor in a positive way. But when you start thinking in your mind about forecasting out, what are some of the tactics you do to get to where you need to be? Josh, why don't we go down, start with you first.
Everything, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it on social media, everything is about patterns of behavior for me.
Yeah.
Once you establish those patterns of behavior, you hold yourself accountable to that. And whatever it is, the morning and out, good morning, Principal Cafele. As Principal Cafele says, start the day on fire, because the way you set the tone as the administrator on that campus with fire, then you energize everybody. That in itself is such a huge floodgate of positivity, because I've always explained to everybody, try to leave your junk in the trunk. Don't bring it into the school. because it's going to affect kids, and those kids cannot leave it in the trunk. So that's where, when you start off the morning, and one of my famous morning announcements is, if you think you're going to be happy, you're going to be happy. If you think you're going to be upset, you're going to make that a reality. So let's think positive, always sharing that thought, but always making sure that we always celebrate whatever small successes we have, whatever positive pattern of behavior we have, whether it be M&M Monday, whether it be Pop Through the Week Wednesday, whether it be Thursday College Day and Friday School Pride Day, whatever it might be, you've established a system for the whole family to know what the expectation is for that day. Slowly but surely, you put your pieces in place, and trust me, always, we all know this, everyone will always rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Set the bar.
Very true.
Set the bar. Joe?
And yeah, obviously Josh hits that on the head every time, and anyone who follows him can see that he is truly a statue when it comes to putting those pieces in place. And one of the things that I like to utilize in my position, and when I'm starting to feel as though the walls are closing in, is understand the box that I'm in and understand why, and understand the parameters that I can control and the parameters that I cannot, and not letting those things control how I'm leading my school, because there's nothing I can change about those pieces, but I can change how my school functions and how everyone reacts to me as a leader, because in the end, I am the face of education in my building. So it doesn't matter what the news, what everything else says on the outside. During that day, I am representing how the student experience is going to be, how the teaching experience and staff experience is going to be. So I understand the parameters of what is controlled by the government, what is controlled by the state, what is controlled by the district, by my region, and by my school. And what I can control within my school is going to be controlled with what I'm leading with and how I'm going to be taking that on. So having a good understanding of where we are with that is the most important piece. And I can tell you, it really comes down to what you're truly owning. And let's be honest with ourselves, when you truly own the placement and what you're doing, you lead. That's how you lead. That's how you take it on. But if there is any underlying feeling as though you don't have 100% of that ownership, you're going to lead that way. That's going to be your default. And as a principal, you have to know that building, every square inch, every square ounce of it is yours. Who's in it? Who's around it? All those pieces and all the things that you can control. So take advantage of being able to leverage how the culture is going to be. And that would really help you out in terms of, no matter what comes out on the outside, you got a strong enough nucleus on the inside that keeps those things from affecting you as much.
I love it. You're absolutely spot on. AJ, from your lens now, again, just for the people out there, so you know, AJ is with us as a leadership person in the eyes of an assistant principal, which, not that in our building, I know that I do a co-principalship with my assistants, and I think it's important. But from your lens, AJ, where do you see this?
Yeah, so for me, I'm there to just be the guy. Like I said, let the principal do what he has to do. He's going to do the management piece. He's going to make sure the building is how he wants it to be. I'm going to be, his eyes. I'm walking around the building. I'm making sure that I am portraying the positivity that needs to be there. Let the kids see me. Let them see how I act every day. If I'm acting positive, then they're going to be positive. If I'm smiling at them, they're going to be smiling back at me. If I'm sitting in a classroom, they should be sitting in a classroom. I don't really like being behind my desk, to be honest with you. I didn't get in this job to sit behind the desk. I got in this job to be with the kids, to be with the teachers, and just keep pushing the instruction and keep pushing, the growth of our students. So for me, the way I act is the way I want my teachers to act, the way I want my students to act. In those walls, that's our universe. I don't care what's going on outside. That's the negative stuff that's going on, whether, parents are posting on Facebook some negative things, whether they're being told negative things at home. What's going on in school is what they need to know. And that's why we continue to tell our story and continue to put that out there. I'm notebooking. I'm writing things down every day. I'm trying to control exactly what happens throughout my day. I want to make sure that if a teacher has a question, I'm writing it down so they see that, oh, he's going to get back to me. So I'm trying to just embody what I feel leadership should look like, and what, the teachers feel that they're comfortable with me there.
Yeah, that's very well said. Very, very, very well said. And that's really within your fairway of your role with what you're doing. And my mind just got jogged for a second. I think I call it the first impression syndrome. And I don't care if it's the look at the building,
Yep.
if it's the interaction with a secretary, the interaction with the principal, with the student, the first interaction with anything that we come in contact with. We've got one shot to put it into the fairway where we want it. And it's vitally, vitally important. And Josh, going back to your point, two things that I think about all the time, and I say it to kids every week, and I say it to my staff, 2 words: effort, attitude. They will carry you. They will carry you. You don't have to be perfect, and that's okay in the world that we're in. But focus on those 2 things, and generally the day becomes pretty good for all of us. Chris?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and Joe, you really brought back something I used to tell myself all the time: not my circus, not my monkeys. In terms of the show that's going on outside, that's an influence that can't penetrate our walls. It can't penetrate our culture. If we are true to our values and we keep moving forward and we understand what our real mission is, then we can't get distracted from it. And that all starts with a really good self-awareness about our purpose and about our intentional moves to keep moving forward. And that's where the tone around self-care and self-management and really, building health, our community building health is really, that's where it begins. Not allowing those outside influences to really take us over. I do think that, when we sit down and we look at, a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, 12-month, progressive goals check, we have to be realistic about not feeling bad about meeting those, maybe not meeting those benchmarks. It's okay if we have to bump the 6-month window out to 9 months, as long as we stay true to that goal and that mission, and we keep taking steps. And we be real with the tenor and the tone of the building, and understanding where those pressures lie and what type of influences that pressure has on the culture of the building. But again, that all comes back down to just being in tune, being in touch, very much like AJ said. Dean and I both run a little bit of a co-principal model. Dean's got a little bit more of a connected relationship with his assistant principal, been there longer than mine. But I've got a lot of faith and trust that whatever I need to have happen will happen. And Mr. Tucker, my assistant principal, represents my perspective. When he speaks for me, and everybody in the building needs to understand that his voice is my voice, just from his seat.
Can I just add something in there?
Sure.
I think that people that aspire to our chairs need to remember this. If you try to please everybody, you'll please nobody. You cannot allow the noise to get to you, just like everyone has said. Let me repeat this again. If you're a lead teacher, if you're a stellar teacher, you want to be an administrator, remember, there's always politics everywhere. Our chair is surrounded by politics, from the cafeteria cashier worker to the cross guard to the parent that sits on the board. There's politics everywhere, and that will affect self-care. The purpose of this podcast, self-care. Don't get I've met so many assistant principals as an assistant principal and as a principal say, I didn't know there was so much politics. It's so draining on me. I didn't know that I had to do this and I had to do this. I never was taught this. I never would have been an administrator. Don't let the noise affect you. Don't let other people's agendas for a GPA affect you, because you're going to take it home to your family. You're going to melt in your couch. You're going to ignore your kids, and you're going to be miserable, and then you're going to transfer that to your family at work. Don't listen to the noise. As long as you're legit, as long as you're doing everything legally and ethically, there will always be weebies, and there will always be haters. Don't let the haters and the weebies get you down from your why.
And one caveat I'd like to add to that, Josh, if I could, and make every decision based on what's good for kids, because we're not an adult employment agency. And I'll tell you what, sometimes it's a very difficult way to go with people, but that mindset needs to be collective and responsive throughout any learning community. So Thank you for saying that. And I don't totally agree with you. Hey, take it one step further now. So, we talk about our own self-care, and we also have leaders within our buildings. So we have administrative teams that work with us, whether we're talking about student supports or whether we're talking about our leadership team within the confines of the school with teachers who are involved in that. How do you project out to them the importance of self-care and balance? Because they are not only part of your vision and how you articulate it out, but they're also part of carrying the voice, but they've got to manage their own worlds similar to ours. So what does that look like through the lens in your school? And let's start off with Joe.
That's one of those pieces that I really try to ensure that my staff and my team that is working with all of the students understand that, guys, I'm putting my faith and my trust in you, and you have it. We'll start that way. We'll always start that way. But what I want you to understand is that every day is an opportunity to continue to build that trust and maintain that trust. But one thing I can tell you is that when it comes down to it, and I explain to them all the time, when it comes down to it, don't ever make me choose between you and the students, because I can tell you what that answer is going to be every time. I need you to understand why we're here and what we're going to lead through. And it's going to be through the lens of our students and their experience. And if their experience says, you've given up on me and that's just the way it's going to be, then we've already lost that culture of understanding in our school in terms of what the main focus should be. And one of the things I can tell you too is that, and I have it right above my office, I'm sure a lot of principals think this way and understand this way, is that in the position that we're leading and building that strong nucleus of fighting culture and fighting for the kids, guys, we're going to get hit.
Sure.
It's not about, it's not about how hard we can hit. We're going to get hit. It's how many times we can keep getting back up and keep moving forward. And, that comes from that Rocky analogy and those things. But life is all about that. And life is all about how we're set up to receive those hits and keep going. Because no matter what, I don't know anyone who doesn't take hits. I don't care how much money you make, where you're living, what planet, you're going to take some hits. So we've got to be able to keep moving forward. That's just my feeling on it. And if I can get my staff to feel the same way, to know, expect you to not feel good. Every class isn't going to roll. Every student isn't going to come in and make your day. Right. Expect those things to happen and how you're going to move forward. Always know that next step in moving forward, not how you want to respond in a negative way and crawl in the corner.
I love that. That's absolutely spot on. And that can be used in so many different ways, not only from a teacher, a leadership standpoint, but from a student, from a community member, every aspect of life. Thanks for sharing that out. Josh?
I've pretty much, being such an old man, I've come to find a book that has made it, encompassed all my ideas, the 4 agreements. Entering my previous campus, remember this whole thing I mentioned at a different how bad it was. I was told it was bad. There was noise about the school, beautiful people, beautiful kids, but there was a noise about it. So I brought to the table the four agreements, and I keep on saying it over and over. One of the 4 agreements is don't assume. Go to the horse's mouth. It's a short book. I highly recommend it to everybody. It has some, it's Mesoamerican culture. It has some religious aspect to it, but it's about dealing with the human psyche, about why hurt people hurt people. Yeah. So it's very important that as leaders on the campus, you educate them and you let them know, look, you need to deal with them this way because they're hurt. An assistant principal wrote them up 5 times. Then the principal put them on the transfer fair. That's why they're fight or flight. Just like any kid that has been mistreated since they were in 3rd grade, same thing. They're going to lash out at you. You need to be extra. But they're always like that. Well, why? Don't assume. Build relationships. So to me, the 4 agreements encompasses a great set of ideas, simple, so that it ties into what my vision is as a leader on the campus.
Josh, you said something, though, that I think is pertinent for everybody to understand. We deal with human beings. And it's like that child that comes in your office who's been reprimanded over and over from both, whether it's the teacher or whether it's at home, whatever the case is, the child needs to be picked back up. and step put back on the path to get the success. And if we always keep in mind, and Chris, this goes back to the thing that you say all the time: hard on the issues, soft on the people, because we are dealing with human beings. Yep. And you know what? Nobody enjoys to be talked down to. Nobody should have to get to that level. We've got to try to redirect, and that's part of our job as leaders. But again, that adds another level of stress that causes for self-care for all of us, because that's not easy. AJ. Oh, I'm sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, I think that's what Todd Whitaker says in many of his presentations and in his books. Everybody on campus wants you to deal with that rock in the shoe person. Everybody. But they want you to deal with them in a professional way.
Correct.
Because then if you do it in a rude way, you snap at them publicly, they're going to say, you might do that to me.
Right.
Everybody wants harmony. It's how we handle it in our chairs.
Love it. You're right. Spot on. AJ.
Yeah, I can't imagine a lot of the things that you guys get hit on every day. I'm looking at the stuff my principal does, the slings and arrows he takes for a lot of different decisions that he doesn't even make. I'm not getting that. So I'm going to my teachers. I'm going to the students. I'm asking them to put it on me. If the teacher's having a bad day, if they're getting an email from a parent, put it on me. I'll take care of it. If a student's having a bad day, I want to make sure that student is okay. I'm going to walk around the building with them. I'm going to sit with them in their classroom. I'm trying to take on as much as I can so they don't have as much on them. Because I got to be honest, when I started the job, not that I never thought there wouldn't be pushback, but when I first got hit, it put me on my heels, right? And like Mike Tyson says, what was the quote there?
You have a plan until you get hit in the face.
There you go. So like I've always had my plan. Like this is my plan. I want it to be there. My first hit put me back. But now I'm kind of like, you know what? I can handle this because there's only one hit and I'm gonna just keep pushing forward. I don't want my teachers to feel that way, because if my teachers shut down, kids shut down, and then we're in trouble. So I'm going to take as much as I can off their plate. I'm going to allow them to email me whenever they want to, but I promise them I won't email them, past 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, unless it's a silly email back and forth. Their time is their time. They have their contractual hours. That's what they'll work. Anything else beyond that, I'll take it from there.
Yeah. And you know what? That's fantastic that you're saying that, because from our lens, we do absorb that. And that is part of our job. And it's probably not written down in any of the contracts that we have, but that's called good leadership. And that's called understanding your players and what makes them tick. And the more you do that, the more you can go back to the goodwill of faith, and they understand that you've got their back. And again, it's not about anything more than leading people to get to their highest level. And that goes back to tying into the balance. Teachers' time is for their time at home afterwards. Okay. Again, great teachers are working 24/7 too. I know it. And I know a lot of them that do. But being able to balance and really get to the point where you can say, okay, I can take 3 or 4 breaths now. I can relax. I can be myself at home. I can be that mother. I can be that father. I can be that husband. I can be that wife. Those things are important, because without that balance, you don't perform in the classroom to the highest level. And you're absolutely correct. And that goes for us too. Chris?
Yeah, ditto. Across the board, going back to the analogy of the, getting hit and getting back up. I used to be a big fan, and I still am a big fan of the show Suits, a USA show. And one scene sticks out in my mind, and it's about the insurmountable battle that's in front of you. And if you're backed up against the wall, as Harvey Specter said, just turn around and knock the GD thing down and build yourself a new exit. And then you've got a whole new future, right out there. We're really good at identifying when we are pinned into a corner. And our job as leaders is to skillfully navigate our way out of that corner. And that doesn't mean making everybody happy, but it means confronting the issue in a really real serious way with a direct message. And if the message isn't being received, well, hey, you know what? It's out of our control. We're going to continue to move forward, and we're just not going to agree. And that's okay. But at the end of the day, having that reputation for being able to address those issues, those concerns, is what's going to really kind of guide that from a self-care perspective, because we just have to be confident and comfortable that what we are doing is right. What we are doing is related to our mission and our vision, and what we're doing is related to our kids and ultimately our entire organization. So
one other piece I just want to add in here, and I've often been asked how I like my job, and I always respond the same way. There isn't a Sunday night that I feel as though I'm not happy and I'm not ready to move forward. Now, if you don't understand what I mean by that, What we do, I can't believe we get paid to do what we do, because we can impact people every second of the day. I never dreamed that I'd be in the position that I am right now. And I love the fact that I continue to search, and I want to see how I can continue to serve people in different capacities. But think about it for a second. There's power with that. There's responsibility with that, but there's also impact with that. That is unbelievable. And that's right. Listening before reacting. One of the number one thing that you can do from the seat of administration is not hit the panic button and not show emotion in that capacity, because people are looking to see how you respond to certain situations. And the more seasoned leaders get better and better at that. I remember, as my role as an assistant principal, I came in, I had a lot of enthusiasm. I wanted to solve every problem that second. At the end of the day, problems kind of solve themselves if you look at the steps sequentially and back off of them. Okay. And you can do that with that humanistic side thing. And again, you grow. We all grow within our positions. So, I mean, this is exciting. This has been a great conversation, guys. Josh?
I just think that right now, as we're hitting the end of this sentence on this paragraph, this chapter is a lot of the stress that we bring upon ourselves sitting in our chairs. And let's be real, sometimes we create it by not focusing attention to detail on the human factor. We don't allow that vision, and I'm not speaking for you. I'm speaking for comments that people make for me, especially right now during this time. Because you all know, some of you know, I send out like weekly motivational kind of texts, things like that, to a lot of people. And they say, oh, I wish this was happening at my campus. I wish this was happening at my campus. I don't do it for that. I just do it because right now, someone needs to be on your shoulder saying, hey, I got your back.
I got mine last night, Josh. Thank you.
There you go. And the whole thing is, we need to self-reevaluate every day when we're sitting in our chairs, making sure that we are there for the right reasons. Because as we go, the campus culture and climate goes. And if we think, oh, everything's great, I'm a great leader, you know, the people love me here. Are you sure about that? When was the last time that you checked? When was the last time you were visible? Just because you gave one free breakfast on Title I money doesn't make you a great leader. Just because you give a gift of a keychain on Teacher Appreciation Week doesn't make you a great leader and open. Do people have the right, or do they have the freedom or the capacity or the feeling to communicate with you Sunday night at 8 p.m. when they have an issue?
Yeah.
That's called connections.
Yep.
That's called connections. Yep. I love it. Perfect.
You know, maintaining a level of connectivity with ourself and with our extended family and our schools is really important. And that's really one of the best steps towards acknowledging that we need to take care of ourselves. If you maintain that connection and that balance inside, it's going to be outside, and you're going to have a zone of influence that really allows you to take everybody to the next level. But it's not just you.
You got to have fun too. And I got to say that we've talked a lot of technical things in my job, and I hope you guys in your job as well find ways to laugh, find ways to just let out emotion through those good feelings of making others around you laugh, and just enjoy the innocence of kids in moments, because those are the finer points that allow you to really just step back and just be you. Again, what other position allows you the latitude to impact and be responsible like we have? Think about it for a second. So let them see the true you, the authentic you. Chris, sorry, that was just one of those sidetrack things.
No, it's all right, man. You know, speaking of self-care, I've got baseball evaluations for like 4 hours today. I'm going to be out on the field in the sun. I've got a game tomorrow morning, opening the season with the Junior Woo Sox in my AAU team. That's an added layer of commitment to my schedule, but I love doing it. So I'm going to be taking care of myself. I hope each of you on the screen, AJ, Josh, Joe, Dean, do something that's meaningful to you and your families today, tomorrow, and every single day. Everybody out there in Unlock the Middle Land, we're coming up on 39 minutes with you on a Saturday morning. We got to cut our show off now. We've got our Unlock the Middle show on Sunday night. Dean and I will be bringing a powerhouse guest in, and we'll be rolling into the week. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everyone. Enjoy your Saturday and Sunday. Take care of yourself and make sure others take care of themselves as well. Be well, everybody.